Hello ratbags, my name is Jade, welcome to the home of survival. Today in Valheim I'm going to show you how to cheat, yes, but I'm also going to explain skills a little bit more in depth. I've seen people struggle in Discord and across Reddit wondering how the skills actually work. It's pretty much Skyrim. Use a knife, you're going to increase your knife skills. Use an axe, you'll increase your axe skills. Jump up and down like a loon for 3 hours and eventually you'll be able to jump triple your height. So the first part of the video, all got timestamps on, it's going to show you how to cheat though. If you just want to increase your skills straight away, you haven't got the grind, you want to be able to do as maximum damage with your axe, gathering trees and resources and stuff like that, then go ahead and use the cheats. If you want to watch the rest of the video, I'm going to be giving you tips, going to be explaining what they increase and some of the perks and benefits. Things like bow, how getting that to 100 means you'll have an absolute amazing shot. I'm also going to talk about parry and blocking and why it's much more like Dark Souls than I think a lot of people realise this game. And best as I can, I'm explaining all of the skills. There's a couple that I haven't actually unlocked myself, like fishing, because that relies on RNG, but I'm going to explain that too. So skip to what you want, don't forget to like, and let's go. So obviously you don't have to cheat, this is just optional for people that want to get to the gravy part straight away. You can just go ahead and watch the rest of this video, it'll still give you lots of pointers and tips about how to improve your skills. But basically you need to press F5, then type iamacheater and then press enter. Once you've done that in the console, you can then type help and it lists all the commands that are currently available as part of the game. It is Unity engine, so maybe some other codes from Unity work. We are going to do God, so just simply type in God and it will give you the God mode, and that means you're going to be impervious to any attack. You'll find all of these commands, as I said, in the comment section in the pinned. Okay, so there's a bunch of skills. You'll get some of these skills straight from just playing the game. As soon as you start making your first axe, you'll get the skill pop up. As soon as you start punching creatures, the unarmed skill will pop up. If you hover over the skills once they've unlocked, it will tell you exactly how to increase them. It's just like Skyrim. Do more blocking, you're going to increase your blocking skill. Use your bow more and you will get more bow skill points. There are no midway special markers or milestones. You don't get to level 10 and get an extra perk, or level 50 and get an extra one. It just mostly reduces how much stamina you uses, or makes the stamina reduction go a lot slower. Meaning you can use that skill for a bit longer, whether or not it's swiping at enemies, firing a bow, or going ahead and harvesting. There are some skills though that when you get to 100, you do get often a couple of extra perks, or it's clear to see the improvement and difference between level 1 and level 100, like the jump perk, where you pretty much will jump double the height at level 100. Let's start with the basic ones. So at like level 2 or 3, you probably get that just by demolishing 2 trees yourself. You will be able to do around 15 slash damage with a stone axe. You can see one swing 9.7, another 7.2, 8.2, 10.5, 5.3. Quite different, quite ranging, and the amount of swings that it actually takes to take down a fairly decent beech tree is quite substantial. You're looking at least 10 swings, and that's just to get it down before you even start chopping it into logs. It's then usually another 8 swings to get it from logs into smaller logs. Now let's type the command in though. Raise skill, leave a space, wood cutting, leave a space, and then put how many levels you want it to be. You can see that I've now got 100 max in wood cutting. No matter what the skill you have in wood cutting, you're still going to need better tools if you want to take on some of the birch trees. But here we've got a beech tree. Let's line it up and see how many it takes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, 5 hits, and you can see it was all doing between 16 and 18 or 19 damage per one. And instead of taking 8 hits to get it from one big log into 2, it's going to only take you 5. So the skills themselves sometimes don't seem like they really go massively improving. Like you are going to have to get a hell of a lot of trees down to get level 100. I would say after around 8 hours of play, building myself a raft as well as getting all upgrades up to level 3 and building a small tiny little house, I'm still only at level 22. So if grinding in these types of games isn't always 100% what you want to do, you want to make it a little bit easier, hopefully these codes are going to help. Obviously we've been using an axe and we gained our first level by chopping down 2 or 3 trees there. So how much more improvement can you get if you boost it to 100? Well, as always, raise skill, leave a space, then type in axes, leave a space, then a number you want. And you're going up from doing 5 to maybe 12 damage to 10 to maybe 18 or 19 with each axe swing. Now obviously the axe skill works across all of your axes, whether it's the stone axe or whether or not it's the flint axe, it's both the same. But you'll pretty much be owning all boars and the greylings with just 2 shots. This should also increase battle axes when you unlock them much later in the game too. It does explicitly seem to increase how much damage you do to creatures rather than necessarily do anything extra for harvesting trees. So next up it's sneak, and this is an underrated skill. If you get lots of this going, you can actually take out some pretty high level enemies, particularly if you use the combo of the knife and the special attack that you can do with a knife. Now you saw there the reticle was about half filled and the eye was kind of partially open. That normally means they kind of sense that you're close by. Otherwise you can see, look, there it is, just opening again, and then they've gone out of range. And you can see I'm trying to get back in range with it, but they're definitely going off. The eye does get bigger and that means you've been seen completely. Let's increase that to 50 and see what it's like now, and you can see it pretty much reduces the little white bar, so it gives you more of a chance of getting up behind them effectively. That's what it does, it increases the sneak chance. But not only that as well, it seems to make the bar go slower, and that's pretty much for most of the skills, that the bar will have more in it, so your stamina won't drain as much while using any of these skills. Now let's put it up to 100 exactly and see what kind of a sneaky sneaker ninja Viking we can do. So you really can creep behind, go right up to a creature when you've got it at 100%. It will take a while. The quickest way to level this is just be in sneak mode anytime any enemies are close by. Even when you're around your base, it might be a good idea, particularly if you're crafting items, to be in sneak mode, and that way if any greylings come nearby, they might just be happening across your base, but you'll still get some points in your sneak skill. You can see it was still good enough here that the skeleton totally missed me because it was that high. And it's rather dark, but here's what you can do with that sneak attack and a knife. 35 damage there on that greyling. I've even used it on one of the trolls and it done a massive amount of damage. So yeah, it could be worth investing in. Next up, swim, and swim speed and swim skills are really important. If you know that if you take a dip and you don't make it to the other edge, you are going to start losing health, and if you lose too much health you will end up drowning. So it's important to keep your stamina high, and one way of course to do that is by getting your swim skills up. This will mean that it drains much slower. If you make sure you've got the right type of foods that give you a stamina boost, you really could use it to go quite far distances, but obviously it's still much more advised that you've always got your raft when trying to travel across big bodies of water. It doesn't appear to make you swim any faster, it's all just about slowing down that drain. And smoothly and neatly into blocking. Now the neeks are always doing a kind of the same damage. No matter what blocking skill I have, the damage that actually pops up is only going to be 4.5 or 5 something, etc. This effectively is because this is not how you should be using the block or any type of weapon or shield. It's all about that dark styles really parrying at the right moment. The more that you increase your blocking, the more parry and stun damage you'll do against creatures and enemies, and so that you can even stun a troll. Now, so you may need a decent shield to do this, but it is possible, and that's what you really be aiming for. Using the block here, you can get levels up really quickly and easily. Go around a bunch of creatures that you know you'll be able to run away from. Just let them keep hitting you till your stamina drains a little bit, and then come back when your stamina's back up, and that will get your blocking up a lot higher, and you can start using it to proper parrying against other enemies. Next up, unarmed combat, and yeah, clearly just go around punching enemies and you will be able to hit them with 1 or just 2 hits. But everything else and the unarmed skill really isn't worth your time. Against higher level enemies you're still going to need to wail them quite a bit, and there's no other discernible perk from using unarmed weapons. There's no like bonus to anything else. I thought maybe you'd get an extra dodge bonus or speed, but I couldn't tell anything in my testing. It doesn't work hitting items either by the looks of things. It's more just about enemies still doing more damage to that. Like you may get a tiny little percentage increase against a tree or something, but honestly I couldn't really tell much difference. So for now, a useless skill. Make sure you've always got some sort of weapon. So you may have already guessed by looking on the bottom right, you can see control pad inputs. That's because I use a controller. I just prefer it. I'm not a big fan using keyboard and mouse, especially after all the hours I do editing. It's nice just to hold the controller, and I am a console fanboy at heart. Using a bow and arrow though with a controller is painful, I have to say. You need a lot of flight when you're firing arrows. If they're much further distance, obviously aim your reticle a lot higher. This is definitely something you want to increase as much as possible, so use it on low levels just to get the higher level, so that when you get to around 80 or 100, this is what happens. Instead of taking precious moments for the reticle to zoom in, it's instantaneous. So this is definitely worth doing, particularly taking on a lot of enemies more from range. You're going to need to do that on so many of these creatures because they can almost one or two hit you, particularly in the case of the troll if you're not careful or you haven't got much good armor on. So ignore my poor aiming as I try and go for these necks. But I did kind of just want to show you, it's just so good. Look how fast the reticle is now. Instantaneous, and it does look like your stamina drains just a little bit less when you've got more of your points into bows. And of course the bonus to that is you're going to do more damage. The more the reticle zooms in, the more damage you do. And obviously much better when you're hunting for deer. You'll be able to get a lot of shots off, especially when there's a pack of them quickly. I'm really hoping they add some perks to these levels though. It'd be cool that if at a certain level 50 maybe, you can retrieve arrows that you fire. And then maybe when you get to level 100, you can retrieve all arrows that you fire instead of just ones that maybe hit the ground. So I've pretty much already explained knives. Obviously sneaking up on a creature and getting the jump on them and using the special attack is all well and good. But just an everyday attack with a knife's not too bad. Better than unarmed, not as good as maybe the axe or some of the others. And some creatures do better against piercing damage from some of these blades. Now let's look at it as it's level 100 and I managed to spell knives correctly. Woohoo! So a pesky grayling, and you can see just unarmed I've done about 5 damage, and then with the knife I've done 10 damage there. Obviously only 4 on the last part. So yeah, it's definitely worth increasing your knife damage, like I said, just for that special attack. Slightly sad you don't get any bonus from using a knife. Like I would have figured it'd be something for skinning creatures. So obviously you get the loot as soon as you kill a creature, but maybe if you do use a knife you'll get more chance of getting leather. I think that would be a good payoff if they do add something like that to the knife in the future. It's maybe not the Viking way, but I absolutely love doing the special attack on creatures, sneaking up on them. Increase this skill by just going ham at every low level creature you can find with your knife. Now it's time for one of the last 2 weapons. We've got the club. Now obviously the club damage does a wide variety, different amounts. You've got 5, 6, 7, sometimes it even goes up to like 10, I'm pretty sure. It is a good old reliable. Now let's increase it to 100. And you can see how much more damage you're doing, at least 10 with kind of every shot or so. So loads and loads of damage. But really it's all about the blunt trauma that you do with it. So it's going to increase the stagger, and that's what you need for some of the higher level creatures or enemies, particularly skeletons with shields as well. If you use a hammer you can sometimes really get them and push them back. So definitely don't be using the sort of club. I called it a hammer, it's a club. For low levels I would say use it definitely on creatures that you really want to stun a little bit more. And it does look like it increases the stun damage that you do with the club, as well as the more physical damage. In fact, it looks like it increases the stun damage more than it actually does just regular damage. Also worth pointing out that if you craft the stag hammer, it is technically a hammer, I think it is, or maybe it is an axe, I'm not sure. Either way, it does a big amount of area of effect damage, and you can use it in the catacombs. When you go in here and the skeletons or maybe some ghosts, you can lure them to the door, shut a door, and then go ahead and smash them. Now obviously do remember I'm in God mode. I wanted to show you the spear and what kind of stuff you can do with it. It's pretty rubbish as a just direct melee weapon. You do want to be using this as a range, and I find this is really good for actual bosses or high level enemies. You can see I'm doing moderate damage, 9, 10, maybe 12 against some of these. It's not the best though. Obviously better than a knife, and certainly better than maybe certain things with certain creatures with piercing damage. But it's also a pretty short range attack. You really got to be close up to an enemy to really get any use out of it. Of course, spears are always meant to be thrown as well, and this is where I really like it. Skill level 2, maybe 3, you're not going to be doing too much damage with it, and if you can actually get it on target. What I like about the moment is you can throw the spear while running away and looking backwards. You saw I've done some damage there, and you will be able to go and pick it back up. Now let's put it up to level 100 and see what kind of difference it makes. So he's probably getting around 10 or 15 with like level 1, maybe level 2. And now let's see what we've got now. I'm taking on this brute. 27. It's a huge amount. It's like tripling the amount of damage you're doing with it. Definitely recommended for bigger bosses. If you make a bunch of these, carry a lot of spears with you, you will not have too many issues with some of these. Now I know I'm in God mode, but like I said, I have tried this a few other times with spears, and I just find that it's a good way to do it. In fact, I use this method to take on the deer god, all complete legit, no god, no powers, no nothing. You can see I haven't even got any armor, I've just got the shield. So yeah, running out of arrows when trying to take on a troll is no fun when you have to get up close. A spear is one of the best alternatives. But definitely make your life easier and craft at least 4 to 5 if you can, and just have them on you at all times. And obviously you can pick them up at any time as well. One I haven't mentioned yet, and it's pretty simple, jumping. Jump a lot and you'll be able to jump a lot higher, but be warned, you do take full damage a lot more when you jump certain areas. So you've got to balance that out, make sure you got armor, because if you do jump just from a slight too much height, you can really take some damage off. So here is the list at the moment that I've all unlocked. As far as I'm aware, there are some more skills like cooking, I do believe, fishing, as well as some weapon skills. In fact, every type of weapon has a skill. Battle axes that you'll unlock later, they all fall under axes, but you will get things as well like maces, and I think that's its own skill. And someone else has said that polearms are going to be a skill, but I think that's probably part of the spears. You can clearly see there's space for 3 more now, unless there is going to be a scroll down option, but I kind of doubt it. I feel like that is just nice and neat to have them all there listed. So there is going to be fishing, there's going to be swords, and as I said, I do believe there's one for cooking. If I've got that wrong, let me know. I will dive into that a little bit more detail, but you get the idea. They all reduce how much stamina is consumed, or the stamina bar goes a lot slower, and in some instances it does give you better attack speeds or better attack damage. The trouble is, you won't notice that until you get to a level 100 and then compare it back to your like level 1 character. As you go up incrementally, it's clearly harder to see, and I've seen so many people complain that they're not getting enough bonuses from their skills. I think obviously that might come in time. We may start getting achievements or milestones attached to them, but for now, that's all it is. It's simply just a way to reduce, most cases, your stamina, or give you a few little perks like the bow, where the zoom in option is much quicker. The fishing perk or skill you won't be able to get until you get the fishing rod, which you'll find randomly from a trader in the Black Forest. It can be spawning anywhere in the Black Forest, so you've just got to find the trader and you'll be able to buy the fishing rod. Fishing at the moment seems pretty unworth it. Like, you can get lots of fish and make lots of food, but it takes a while. You actually have to properly fish. It may take a long time to catch new fish. And as I said, I do believe cooking's a skill. I could be wrong on that, I could be. I didn't see anything pop up obviously when I made my first food, so maybe it is something else. Someone else has said that it could be hunting, where you get to see the footsteps or trails of creatures, but I've yet to see that either. Once I've confirmed all the skills and I've got guaranteed ways for you to power level through them all, I will be back with a much shorter video detailing them tips. If you've got any ways to power level, let me know. What's the quickest ways to get your jumping up? What's the quickest ways? Did I just really say that? What's the quickest ways to get your bow up? What's the quickest ways to get all them skills? Let me know in the comment section. Super enjoying Valheim. I'm going to be doing lots of guides and tutorials and coverage over it. Until next time, Ratbags, I'll catch you later.